Unlike a lot of the wooden chair designs that you see, this one is better suited for sitting up at a table. The materials needed to build it are 2x4, 2x6, and some fence boards. I'm using cedar for mine, but any type of wood will work. A few galvanized bolts, and some 2-inch nails. To make the cutting easy with the skill saw, I made this guide. And there's a build article on my website, along with the plans for this chair. We'll also need some 2.5-inch screws and some glue. To get started, I'm setting my guide to the correct angle for the back support, marking the length and making the cut. Now I can use that to mark the second one and cut it to length. The back supports need to be tapered, and here I'm marking that out. And cutting it with the skill saw. A few shots with the sharp block plane smooths everything out and chamfers the corners. Next, I mark out and cut the back leg. This is where the guide really comes in handy for making these sharp angled cuts. There are 2 angles cut on the front part of the back leg. I can use the first one to mark out the second one and cut that out as well. The seat support is next, and here I'm marking the length. Again, the guide is really handy for cutting these sharp angles. On the other end, the seat supports are cut at 80 degrees. And once again, I use the first one to mark out the second one. Next, the front legs are marked and cut to length. The top 6 inches of the front legs are tapered. Cut the taper with the skill saw and smooth out the rough cut with the block plane. The armrests are next, and I'm cutting those from 2x6. The armrest is cut to 4.5 inches over most of its length. The guide is also pretty handy for drawing this curve. Cut the straight part with the skill saw and finish it off with the jigsaw. The armrest also tapers towards the back. Here I'm just clipping the corners off the front. When the first one is finished, I'll use that to mark out the second one. Now that the parts of the frame have all been cut out, I can turn my attention to the slats that go on the seat and on the back. The straight ones are 24 inches long and cut 90 degrees on the end. Here I'm cutting a notch that will fit around the armrest where it meets the back. The back tapers, and to do that, each board is cut on a slight angle. The top board gets its corners clipped off. Next, I can cut and notch the slats for the seat. I need 2 narrow boards for the front part of the seat. I'll cut one to 1.5 inches wide and use what's left over for the other board. Now's a good time to do a dry fit to make sure that everything lines up correctly. I want to get a good layer of glue in all of the joints before I assemble them. I'll pound in a couple of 2-inch nails to hold it and drive a screw also. To keep these joints from slipping, I'm toe-nailing them together with 2-inch nails. I can then drill a 5/16 inch hole, squeeze in a little glue, and drive a 6-inch long 3/8 inch lag bolt. And do the same where the seat support meets the back. I can assemble the second frame on top of the first one to make sure they're exactly the same. To lay out where the front leg goes, I'm using the slat that was notched to go around it. The leg is 90 degrees to the seat support. I'm driving a couple of screws and drilling a 1/4 inch hole for a 5/16 inch bolt. Now that both side frames are assembled, I can clamp it down to my workbench and square it up. Now I can start nailing the slats on the back. I put 1 dab of glue in the center of each board and 2 nails in each end. With that much done, I can get the chair on the ground and finish it up. A little bit of smoothing and sanding and it's done.